is OrganAskIfWeAreChanged.org. I am here joined by Josh and Ron, and I've just been at I can't even describe what I've been through, but it's, I guess, a heart meditation / healing / understanding the power of love kind of workshop. We've been here for the last 4 days, and you guys went through, from Eastern religion and philosophy to Christianity to decalcifying your pineal glands to earthing to metaphysics, quantum physics, Tai Chi, meditation, electromagnetic fields, and sacred geometry, and all these different kind of ideologies, and all this information was thrown my way, and it was really fascinating. It was really amazing. That's the way I kind of describe it. How would you describe the work that you guys are doing? Ron?
Well, coming from a situation of life in which that we must all learn through our direct experiences, this is probably a soup of metaphysics. So our intention really is to provide people the understanding of what our modern science mixed in with ancient text, along with indigenous understandings, bring that all in together, and we're talking about something that a lot of people are not talking about. But our teacher, John Melchizedek from the School of Remembering, we facilitate a class called Awakening the Illuminated Heart.
And Josh, do you have a different understanding of what you're trying to do here, or is that kind of the same kind of philosophy?
It's basically the same. I just see it as simple as getting out of your head and into your heart. And once you can get into your heart, the world will open up to you in a different way. Yeah. Things become easy, they flow with grace. Yeah. So it's really that simple. Get out of your head, get into your heart. We're showing that there's an intelligence in the heart that is newly discovered. There's 40,000 cells in the heart that are brain cells. They're not heart cells. So there's literally a mini brain inside your heart. You can get in there and think with your heart.
Yeah. I kind of describe it as acting with kind of intuition, acting from kind of the inner voice and being your own person, and just going after true kind of happiness, true kind of freedom and liberation. Because a lot of times we see a lot of people out there who kind of idolize other people and put their kind of identity onto celebrities or musicians or sports stars, and they don't really become who they are because they can't really face what's inside. And sometimes, a lot of times, when you do look on that kind of inside, you kind of see things that you don't want to see, and kind of people ignore it a lot of the times. So that's kind of my understanding of what's happening and what you guys are kind of trying to teach there. But what kind of transition? Is that a fair explanation to what I just said? And do you guys envision that transition in a different way? Is it just becoming the ultimate truest version of yourself, or is it something else?
Well, you absolutely got to go within yourself. I mean, that's what it's all about. Jesus, Buddha, all the great teachers of the world talked about going within. So it's, our whole thing here is to lay on the table what we're learning about the energetics of the body. This is where our main focus is, on the energetics. We use the great artist, visionary artist, as Alex Gray's work all the time to give a visual of that. But it goes much deeper than that, of course. And like you mentioned, it's not easy to go within yourself and to look in the mirror sometimes, because we're human. It's very convoluted here. It's a crazy reality. It's a reality of polarity. So the key is to trust, to learn how to let go and go within and pull up some of those blockages that are taking place so that you can transcend them and evolve as an individual.
Josh, how do you see it?
Ron said it best, but just to reiterate a little bit, I believe that it's all about looking inside, because that's where the real answers come. You're not going to find anything out here. I mean, that's why it's called the universe, because you are the only thing that exists in the universe. So you have to go inside, and you're going to find those shadowy parts of yourself that may not be the best things to look at, but we find that if you're willing to, miracles will happen, and we see it all the time in these workshops. Like Ron said, you get on the table and you're willing to do the work. It's that simple.
Things just naturally kind of open up to you in this kind of world. Instead of just forcing things, they naturally just come to you without even kind of just trying to get it. It's accepting it and going with it. I remember part of my journey, I went through a lot of insecurity, a lot of ego, a lot of kind of low energy vibration kind of character traits that I saw within me, and kind of this path that I've been on that you guys have been able to kind of again refresh for me, made me see those different paths and then try to fix that within myself so I could could even try to be the best version of myself. But the ultimate kind of like rebranding kind of lesson is we're living in this computer program, and then we're really all just coders. We're the programmers. Our reality kind of envisions it. That's the way I see it. Do you guys agree with that analogy, with just life being a big computer program, a big computer, and us being programmers? And what kind of evidence do you have to support that?
I absolutely, I agree with that in many ways. Michael Talbot's book, the Holographic Universe, is a great example. Limit Targets the Field. I mean, we're living in an information age. Okay, so you got to use discernment from your heart. But the science is there, the text there, the research is there. We are kind of living in a holographic universe. But the key is, and what our emphasis is with the school and what Drunvalo has brought out to everyone, is that there's two different ways of creating. You can use the mind to create, which creates a dualistic field of duality, because you have the left and right hemisphere of the brain. But there's also another way to create, which a lot of people don't recognize yet, and thank goodness for a department at Stanford University called HeartMath. We now know that we have these electromagnetic fields that are coming off of the heart. Okay, so in researching that on a deeper state, we know, as Josh had brought up, that the human heart has up to 40,000 brain cells in it. So the heart is conscious, and I know that might strike a lot of people the wrong way, but the heart was the first organ that's formed in the body, and then the tongue comes out of that, and then the rest of the body comes out of that. So the brain is not the focal point here. And once people begin to recognize that the heart is a unified field. It's unity, where the brain is separatism.
Well, I love the analogy of the computer program. I see our body as sort of like the hardware, and your spirit is like the software, and it comes into the body, and you use the body as an interface to upgrade the software, like Spirit 1.0 and 2.0 and 3.0, and right now we're at 3.0, the third dimension, and we're going to 4.0, fourth dimension and beyond. So it's really, I mean, like, you have this sphere around your body, and it's literally a projector screen, and your consciousness, the image, comes from the heart, moves up to the brain, and then out. And the pineal gland acts as a lens, a projector lens, to push those images out into the sphere. So the thoughts and the dreams that you have in your heart are like you programming what's going to be in your reality. So I really do feel what you're saying about the computer hardware, and I mean, it's reflected in all of our technology. So you can see that very clearly.
One of the things you guys brought up that kind of boggled my mind is the fact that after a lot of these people do this kind of meditation for world peace, you know, one day we do have that peace on the earth, but the second day there's more violence than there ever was before. When that first day was more peace than there ever was before, because of that meditation, because it's coming from the kind of duality of the brain, because people who kind of think they're going to do something good actually end up impacting it in a kind of negative way. And I think that's a lot of fear of people with this kind of new information. They call it kind of new agey, they call it dark magic, and all these other things. What kind of message do you have out there for, you know, the average kind of conspiracy theorist out there who just labels this kind of one bad thing? Like, what would you say to that person to make them understand kind of the deeper kind of truths of this?
Well, again, there's a lot of science here. This is definitely not new. This is ancient stuff. So that's why the school is called the School of Remembering. So there's not a word that we don't say to people that they don't already know. So as far as the people who want to call it all these labels, they just don't know any better. You know, so we could sit here and lay out all kinds of statistics and whatnot, but basically the truth is you got to go find out. You know, and we're coming from a heart-based situation, so our intention here is nothing of a negative vibratory state.
Like Ron said, there's a lot of science here. I mean, so for the skeptics, that's perfect. And it's not, again, it's not new. It's all ancient wisdom that we're revisiting and combining with modern technology and modern intelligence. Yeah. So really, I think it comes down to the fact that we've been lied to on a mass level, and you just need to turn off the TV and get out there and do your research. It's as simple as that. And then you'll see it's not even something that you need to convince somebody if they've done their homework.
Yeah.
And I would like to just add to that real quick. I mean, look at right now. If you go into the Thunderbolts project with the Electric Universe Conference, here you have a symposium of 30 of your top physicists of the world coming together to pretty much tell us that everything we knew about the sun was wrong. So the surface of the sun is not a gas ball. It has a liquid surface to it. There's a current, not new, but there's electrical current that they can see. It's called the Birkeland currents. It's moving in 0 time. That's crazy. I mean, it's hitting Pluto and it's hitting in the microcosmic levels instantaneous. So no longer are we going to sit here and talk about the speed of light. It's just an 8-track tape at this moment. So we have new sciences coming out that are shattering everything that's going on. It's awesome.
Yeah. I really personally enjoy the scientific aspect, as well as going into all these kind of ancient beliefs and ancient religions, whether it's Christianity or another religion. And I like how you guys kind of handpicked, okay, this deals with the heart, now we're going to teach you about it. We're going to show you their kind of exercises that they did, their kind of rituals that they did. And it was interesting to kind of go through those rituals and kind of see the impact. But it doesn't, I mean, the way I saw it doesn't come from one particular belief, does it? Or no, it doesn't.
Absolutely not. Global.
But one thing that I also noticed is a lot of people who were here were, of course, other people who were first kind of thrown into the kind of Illuminati, conspiracy, New World Order is going to get you, depopulation, and all this kind of fear aspect of it. The person I met kind of transitioned from being an angry, hateful, paranoid, just low energy person who was just preparing to fight, the kind of powers that be, the elite. And he transitioned from that kind of fear and paranoia into still being conscious, but acting in a totally different way, in a way of, okay, instead of just preparing for the worst, I'm going to create the best. And seeing that transition was really surprising, because I know a lot of people who are, deep down in that rabbit hole, who are just paranoid, who are afraid, and are inundated with kind of all this propaganda of the worst. But once we kind of start realizing we could actually create the best, that's when I think the real transition will happen. Can you talk about maybe your transition, or maybe if you don't want to share your transition, someone who you saw kind of change from that way, from kind of your teachings?
Do you got a month? Well, I've had some incredible transitions. I've been working in the healing arts world for 24 years, so I've been around energetic healing such as Reiki and Qigong, and practice Feng Shui and just all the energetic stuff. I've seen countless, really honestly, countless numbers of stories of people before my eyes, just in a Reiki session. You can see the demeanor of their body transition, their whole state of mind transitions. Really to keep this simple but make it clear for people is that when you begin to harness chi or prana, which is one of those sacred elements not talked about, but Plato talked about it. It was very sacred to his schools. But prana is huge. And when the population begins to understand truly the power of prana, or chi, or ether, or tachyon, or universal life force, or great spirit, however you want to label it, ka, we will change drastically. So from that lower vibratory state of fear, false evidence appearing real, when you're in that low vibratory state, your perception of things are not pretty. Mm-hmm. So if you can just raise your frequencies and get up into an alpha state and a happy state, your perception's much different. It's just a quick example. I actually, when I was young, 10 or 12 years old, I had an uncle take me to the circus, Ringling, Bardos, and Bailey's. And we got in there, and he was sitting next to me, and before I knew it, he was having an anxiety attack. And I was having an amazing time. I saw everything going on at the circus. It was just awesome. There was so much going on. But he couldn't handle everything that was going on, and we ended up having to leave. So here's somebody who was sitting right next to me that was having a completely different experience than what I was having. And that always stuck with me, because perception is everything.
Mm-hmm. Your reaction is everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just a quick summary of my own personal story, because it was a lot like you were explaining this other gentleman. It really all started with all the conspiracy theory, all the fear, and just going real deep into the rabbit hole. Things get real dark real fast, and it gets scary, and you really just don't know what to do with that, to the point where, you start even contemplating suicide, and you just don't know what to do with yourself. And then once the journey can become inward, and you start to discover the love connection between all humans, all life, nature, the whole universe, it has a profound impact on your consciousness, and you can just react to things in a different way, in a loving way. So it's really that simple, in my opinion.
My life has definitely transitioned. I'm not concentrating on the worst. I'm concentrating on creating the best and building and educating and concentrating on the solutions rather than just the problems. And I think if we all start doing that, that's when the real change is going to happen. Any last closing comments, and where can people find out more about you?
Well, I started off with the Illuminati work too many years ago, and I thank people like yourself and the David Icke's and Alex Joneses and all the wonderful Jim Marses and all them who helped us figure out what in the heck is going on here. But at the end of the day, really, Jesus said to just be, and so. If you can learn how to change your vibration into a higher vibratory state, then you're going to affect everything around you, your pets, your plants, your family, friends, etc. And so we're just trying to get people to understand what's going on with the electrical aspect, what's going on with heart coherence. And so one by one, like popcorn, we can begin to, change this course we're on.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And in closing, there's a saying that the longest journey in everyone's life is the journey from their head to their heart. So I would just like to thank you and everyone watching for having the courage to do their inner work and to be the change that they want to see in the world.
Was massive. And for me, what people say, it took me somewhere. I don't think it takes us anywhere. I think it takes us to where we already are.